Asterisk, the world is filled with unfinished stories, people who started strong but gave up when adversity struck. Their dreams remain scattered fragments, not because they lacked talent, but because they lacked resolve. Mediocrity thrives because ambition is too often traded for comfort. If you're still hesitating, still waiting for the perfect moment, still letting fear hold the pen, then you're already losing. But if you're ready to break free, to embrace the struggle, and to write your own legacy, then this is for you. Welcome to the fight, asterisk. They all start like lions roaring with ambition, eyes burning with fire. But when the storms come, when the pressure suffocates and the nights get longer, they crumble. Not because they lack talent, but because their spine was never built to endure the weight of their own dreams. This world is a graveyard of half-written legacies, of men and women who once swore they would conquer everything until it got hard. Until pain knocked on the door and comfort whispered, "Stay here." It's warm. It's easy. They call it failure. But no failure isn't falling short. Failure is quitting. It's betrayal of your own fire. The strong, they bleed. They break. But they never bend. Because they know something the rest don't. The path to greatness isn't a clean road, it is a battlefield. It demands scars, screams, and sacrifice. It devours the weak and molds the relentless. Mediocrity has a loud voice, always inviting you to settle down to rest, to become normal. And that's the poisonous disease of comfort. It lulls you to sleep with lies, telling you that you're good enough as you are, that growth is unnecessary, that struggle is avoidable. But the truth, nothing worth having was ever birthed in ease. You think your story is over just because you're down? The strong laugh at that idea. They understand the fall is just the setup. The real story begins when you're face down, bloodied, surrounded by silence, and you still choose to rise. Again, and again. And again. That's what makes legends. Not how they start, but how many times they refuse to stop. The world will keep testing you. Life will ask again and again, how bad you want it? And every time you quit, you're teaching it to doubt you. But when you persist, when you stand tall with nothing left but your will, the world steps aside. It always does for those who never do. So burn the idea of quitting. Bury the illusion of easy. And write a story that doesn't end in retreat but roars in defiance. Because unfinished dreams are for the weak, and you're not here to die in the middle of your sentence. You're here to carve the ending in fire. Every time you hesitate, the world moves without you. Every time you doubt yourself, someone else takes what was meant for you and carves their name into the place you were too afraid to claim. That's the cost of hesitation, irrelevance. That's the price of self-doubt, erasure. While you're frozen, waiting for a sign, waiting to feel ready, life devours your moment and offers it to the bold. Because this world doesn't pause for your insecurities. It doesn't bend for your fear. It moves fast, and it crushes the ones who wait. You think the pain comes from failure? No. The real agony comes from the betrayal of self. From knowing you had the fire, the vision, the hunger, but you let fear hold the leash. You became your own prison, your own executioner. You silenced the war cry inside you and chose to whisper through life, hoping someone else would validate what you should be already known, that you were built for more. And as you hesitate, others write chapters bold, loud, brutal chapters, and you become a footnote, a background shadow in someone else's glory. That's the silent betrayal. Not what the world did to you, but what you did to yourself by playing small, by choosing safety over sacrifice, comfort over conquest. But the strong, they don't ask for permission. They don't wait for perfect timing. They move. They charge forward bleeding, afraid, uncertain, but they don't stop. Because they understand that hesitation is the slow death of potential, and self-doubt is the silent killer of empires. They don't beg the world to see them, they force it too. You are not meant to be a side note. You are not meant to be forgotten. But if you keep hesitating, that's exactly what will happen. Your story will be buried before it ever began. You either rise now or you rot beneath the weight of what if. Burn the hesitation. Kill the doubt. and take back the pen. Your story isn't over, it's screaming to begin. But it only begins when you do. Perfection is a lion elegant cage dressed as wisdom. It whispers, not yet. Just a little more time. Wait until everything aligns. But the truth? Nothing ever aligns. There is no perfect moment. No flawless beginning. That illusion is a slow, creeping poison that rots dreams from the inside out. While you polish your plans and overthink your first step, life marches on and leaves you behind. Perfection is the enemy of done. It's the chain that binds warriors to the ground while cowards pass them by. Because perfection isn't strength. It's fear in disguise. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of not being enough. And those who worship it? They never move. They never rise. They never earn the satisfaction of a bloody, battered, and real ending because they never had the courage to start. Progress doesn't come from flawlessness. It comes from friction. From chaos. From grinding your teeth through imperfect days and still refusing to quit. It's built in the mess and the uncertainty, in the failure, in the scars you collect while you keep going. The strong understand this. They don't need everything to be right. They just need one reason to begin, and they do. But the weak? They bury themselves in blueprints and excuses. They call it preparation, but it's paralysis. They mistake waiting for wisdom. They stand still so long that their dreams suffocate in silence. And when the end comes, all they have are regrets shaped like unfinished chapters. The ones who rise, who truly rise, are those who rip themselves from the grip of perfection and move anyway. Even when it's ugly. Even when it hurts. Even when they don't feel ready. Because they know that beginnings aren't meant to be perfect. They're meant to be real. So stop waiting. Stop polishing a version of yourself that doesn't exist. Take the damn step, bleed, fall, get back up, and keep going. Your story doesn't need to be clean. It needs to be written out in fire. In failure, in fight. That's where the ending is earned. Not in perfection, but in persistence. There is a pain far deeper than failure. It doesn't scream, it haunts. It's the slow, suffocating ache of potential abandoned. Of dreams that never saw the light because you buried them alive. You don't hear it all at once. It creeps in the silence. It whispers in the quiet hours when the world is asleep and you lay left alone with the truth. You could have been something, but you weren't. Not because you lacked power, but because you lacked permission from yourself. The unfinished story doesn't die quietly. It lingers like a ghost, echoing the words "what if" into the walls of your mind until the day you collapse. What if you had tried harder? What if you had faced the fear? What if you had just started no matter how broken, no matter how scared? That is the true agony. Not falling, but never becoming. And still, most people surrender to that fate. They talk themselves into cages. They chain themselves with false narratives. I'm not good enough. It's too late. I'll fail. And their mind? It listens. Because the mind doesn't care if the story is truth or lie, it just obeys. It becomes what you feed it. So when you feed it fear, hesitation, and doubt, your life becomes a mirror of your excuses. But if you change the story, everything changes. Rewrite it with pain, with purpose, with fire. Declare war on what has held you back and burn the old script because the pen is in your hand, not life's. You get to choose whether your story ends in silence or roars into the world, teeth bared, unafraid. The strong, they feel the same fear, the same uncertainty. But they rise anyway. They don't ask what if. They become the answer. They reject the torment of a life unlived. Because they know failure isn't the villain regret is. And if they're going to suffer, they'll suffer in the fire of effort, not in the quiet decay of cowardice. So stand up. Rip that final chapter from the grave. Rewrite every doubt with defiance. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Willing to hurt. Willing to rise. willing to become. Because the pain of trying is sharp, but the pain of never trying? That's eternal. And you weren't born to die full of what-ifs. You were born to become the thing they said you never could. Fear is the master illusionist that wraps itself in reason, disguises itself as safety, and convinces you that hesitation is wisdom. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It tells you to wait, to play it safe, to stay where it's familiar. It wraps its hands around your potential and slowly strangles it while you smile and call it comfort. But the truth, the comfort zone isn't comfort. It's decay. It's death in slow motion. Every second you spend hiding from fear is a second ripped from the legacy you were born to build. You think playing it safe protects you? No doubt it robs you. It robs you of the pages you were meant to write, of the scars that were supposed to shape you, of the fire that was meant to forge you. The comfort zone doesn't just delay greatness, it erases it. Look back through history. The ones who became legends weren't without fear. They just refused to let it own them. They stood at the edge of uncertainty, trembling, broken, doubting, and they moved anyway. They ran headfirst into the chaos because they knew the truth, fear only grows in stillness. But once you confront it, once you act, you steal its power. But the weak, they let fear write their story. They let it shrink them, cage them, define them. They hide in places they've already outgrown, convincing themselves they're safe when really they're dying. Every day, a little more. The strong, they destroy the comfort zone. They turn it into rubble and build empires from its ruins. They understand that growth lives where fear tries to block the door. That every chapter worth writing is born on the other side of discomfort. So if you want to rise, truly rise, you must stop waiting for courage to arrive fully formed. It won't. You have to move while afraid. You have to act while doubting. You have to fight through the scream of your own mind telling you to stop. Because freedom, greatness, purpose, they're not inside the comfort zone. They're buried beneath it. Dig them out. Burn the excuses. Walk into the fire. And refuse to let fear tell your story. This is your beginning, not your burial. But only if you choose to rise. Fear rarely shows up with fangs and fury. It's quiet, patient. It slips into your thoughts like a whisper, not a war cry. It doesn't push you down, it persuades you to stay still. To wait for the right time, to play it safe. It tells you that comfort is wisdom and that avoiding pain is survival. And that's how it wins, not by crushing you, but by convincing you to do nothing. It sells you mediocrity dressed as peace. It tells you that aiming low hurts less than falling from high. That maybe a quiet life is better than a brave one. That maybe it's okay to not try at all because at least you won't fail. But what it doesn't tell you is the price: your soul, your fire, your legacy. Because the real pain doesn't come from the wounds of effort, it comes from the silence of surrender. The kind of pain that follows you through time, when you're older, looking back at a life filled with moments you could have owned, but didn't. Dreams you could have chased, but stayed seated. That is the ache fear creates, a life unlived. The weak listen to that voice. They obey it. They build their identity around it. And so their story ends before it ever really begins and finished, unread and forgotten. But the strong, they hear that same voice and reject it. They feel the fear, taste the uncertainty, and move anyway. Because they know the true fear is the great thief. The silent assassin. It doesn't need to break you. It just needs you to believe it. But you weren't born to cower. You weren't built to be cautious. There's something deeper in you, something primal. Something that refuses to die quietly. You just have to choose it, feed it. Unleash it. Because every time you act in spite of fear, you take the pen back. Every step forward rewrites the script. And with enough steps, enough resistance, enough fight, you silence that voice for good. This is your moment. Not to wait. Not to plan. But to rise. Because fear has written too many unfinished stories. Don't let yours be next. People tremble at the thought of dying, but the deeper tragedy isn't death. It's the slow, unnoticed suffocation of a life never truly lived. Most exist like shadows breathing, yes, but never burning. Never ceasing, never creating, never becoming. They wait for the perfect moment, for a sign, for permission. But time doesn't wait. Time doesn't care. It moves like a blade, silent, precise, and merciless. You think you have time. That's the illusion. You think you'll begin tomorrow when the fear fades, when it's safer, when you're more ready. But every second you hesitate, another piece of your fire dies. Another moment slips into the void, never to return. That's the cost of waiting, pieces of your potential gone forever. Life isn't measured by the number of breaths you take. It is carved in the moments you own, in the battles you fight, in the pain you embrace and the chaos you conquer. Not by how long you live, but how deeply you refuse to settle. The calendar may say you're alive, but only you know if that's true. Most will die long before their heart stops beating. They'll drown in routines, choke on comfort, and be buried in regret. Not because they were weak, but because they believed they had more time. The strong, they don't fall for that lie. They understand that every day is war. Every sunrise is a countdown. They don't wait, they attack. They rip purpose from the jaws of time and forge meaning from the chaos. Not because it's easy, but because they refuse to be another name forgotten in the dust. You want to rise? Then kill the illusion that life will grant you patience that it won't. This world takes from the hesitant. It devours the passive. You either move now or you vanish quietly, one wasted day at a time. The clock is ticking. The fire is fading. And the only question that matters is this: will you live before you die? Because the grave is full of people who thought they had more time. Greatness is never struck by lightning. It doesn't fall from the sky. It's carved slowly, painfully, relentlessly, one decision at a time. Not in glory, not in spotlight, but in the dark, in the quiet, in the unnoticed hours where most choose rest and the few choose war. Every action, every single choice you make becomes a brick. A piece of the empire you're either building or refusing to. And that's what most people never understand. They think greatness is an event, a breakthrough, a moment of magic. But it's not. It's habit. It's grind. It's what you do when no one is watching and you don't feel like doing a damn thing, but you do it anyway. The unfinished story? That's not fate. It's not bad luck. It's not a tragic twist. It's a decision. Made over and over each time you chose comfort over consistency, excuses over action, silence over sacrifice. Every skipped step, every delayed plan, every ignored opportunity, it adds up. And one day, you wake up with a life that doesn't even resemble what it could have been. Not because it was impossible, but because you let the grind slip through your fingers. The weak don't fail because they lack vision. They fail because they refuse to show up. They think one big move will change everything. But there is no one big move. It's repetition. It's obsession. It's the willingness to do what is necessary long after the mood to do it has died. But the strong, they understand. They show up bruised, exhausted, doubtful, but they show up. They don't wait to feel inspired. They don't ask the world for permission. They put in the work daily. And that's how a legacy is built, not in applause, but in grit. So ask yourself, what did you build today? Not what you dreamed, not what you planned. What did you do? Because that's the difference between a forgotten name and an immortal one. Greatness isn't a moment. It's a choice, daily, ruthless. Unforgiving. And if you want to rise, truly rise, you better be ready to make that choice again and again. Until there's nothing left to prove. No one ever steals the pen from you. No one forcibly rips it from your grasp. The unfinished story, the one that haunts you, is not a curse handed down by fate or circumstance. It's a choice. A quiet surrender. A moment when you stop fighting and let the pages go blank. You handed over your power by silence, by doubt, by giving up on yourself. But here's the brutal truth. The pen has always been in your hands, as waiting, as patient, not ready. Every single day offers you a chance not just to pick it up, but to grab it with fury. To rewrite every lie you've been told, every failure you've accepted, every shadow you've hidden behind. Because life doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't honor hesitation. It respects only action. The strong know this. They understand that every new dawn is a blank page. Begging to be filled with fire, with fight, with relentless defiance. You want to rise? Then take the pen. Write with hands that shake. Write with a voice that screams against the silence. Write the chapters that scare you. Write the ending that no one expects but you. The story that turns weakness into strength, failure into power, and fear into fuel. The pen is yours. The story is yours. The future is yours. So stop waiting for a sign. Stop blaming the past. Stop believing your story is over. Because it's not. It's just beginning. The world is littered with ghosts and finished stories abandoned at the first sign of hardship. They began with fire, with fierce ambition. But when the storm came, they faltered. The betrayal that cuts the deepest isn't from others, it's from within. It's the silent surrender to doubt, the quiet acceptance of less when you know you're meant for more. Perfection, it's a devil in disguise, the enemy that paralyzes you with the lie that nothing less than flawless is worthy. But perfection never births greatness, only unfinished chapters. Stories that stall in the shadows of what could have been. The worst agony isn't failure. It's the pain of a legacy unwritten, a potential unrealized. A name forgotten before it was ever known. The comfort zone is no sanctuary, it's a graveyard. It's where dreams go to die, buried beneath the weight of ease and excuses. Fear? Fear is the cruelest author of all. The voice that tells you to hesitate, to wait, to settle. It feeds on the illusion of time, convincing you that there's always tomorrow to try again. But tomorrow is a lie whispered by weakness. True legacy isn't forged in a single moment. It's built daily in every choice to stand when you want to fall, in every step forward through pain and uncertainty. The pen that writes your story is in your hands, always has been. You hold the power to finish what others left broken, to rise when others gave in. This is your moment, your battle, your story waiting to be finished. Will you seize it? Or will your story fade into the endless void of unfinished dreams? Asterisk if this resonated with you. If you're ready to stop hesitating and start writing your legacy, then hit that subscribe button. This is just the beginning. The journey to greatness is long, but it's worth it. And I'll be here every step of the way to guide you. So subscribe now, and let's rise together, asterisk.